So first of all, like my thinking process during the actual tournament is much better than like my review now, probably. I don't know if I can remember all the stuff that went through my head when I was like in the zone. Because when you're in the actual tournament, when you're in the actual game, and then you're like in the zone, okay, or you're trying to be in the zone. But when I'm here, I'm like chill. I'm very exhausted. Like I haven't slept much at all. My plane was at 4 a.m. and I didn't sleep, and then I just slept a little bit on the plane. So like my mental state is like much worse, but I mean still most of the stuff I should remember, and I also know how I prepared for this tournament. So yeah. So this is like the only game from me. They wanted to stream another game from me on stream, which was against someone else. I don't remember like which round it actually was, but I think it was second round or something. But it doesn't matter. Like this was the only game that was on stream, so it's much easier to talk about this game because I have like footage. I don't have footage of the other games. That's the reason why I'm not reviewing all the games. And okay, let's start. How I began to prepare for this tournament. Unfortunately, I deleted the spreadsheet that I had. I wrote down every class, and because this tournament is conquest format with a ban. So in ban formats, you usually approach a tournament like that with a strategy. Yeah, you want to ban a deck that is especially strong against your lineup. Makes sense. And there's usually multiple different strategies because you can ban different decks. For example, you can ban Freeze Mage, as I did, and then you bring like aggressive decks or decks that are especially weak to Freeze Mage. You can ban Druid, that is like another approach, and then bring decks that are weak to Druid, like Rhinolock, which are then good across the field as well. Or you ban Aggro Paladin and bring greedy decks, or you ban Warrior and bring Freeze Mage and decks that are weak to Warrior. So there's like different approaches, different strategies, and probably all of them work. So, and the reason why I decided to go for my strategies, it was actually very difficult with 4 decks in Conquest to find a lineup that harmonizes perfectly. So first of all, my starting point was what is the strongest deck. So I wanted to do a band strategy with the very strongest deck, the number 1 tier 1 deck. And with a lot of testing and a lot of talking with my practice group and people, I came to the conclusion that at that very moment, Zoo is the strongest deck. Like the very strongest deck. From the tier 1 decks, they're like the absolute tier 1 deck. So my starting point is Zoo. And the strongest deck class to ban for Zoo is Freeze Mage. So if you ban Freeze Mage and you have Zoo, you can beat everything. There's like no deck. There's a lot of people that think like Rogue counters Zoo or I don't know, Rhinolock. Like Demon Handlock is a very strong deck against Zoo, but the expectation for that specific tournament that someone had Demon Lock was close to 0%. The reason is just because of the meta. Rhinolock, Demon Handlock is especially weak against face decks. People were very scared of Face Shaman, of more people to bring Face Shaman. Surprisingly, there were like way less Face Shamans than expected. There were a couple, but you can expect a slightly more of that deck because there was quite some hype before the tournament. And Secret Paladin, you don't really want to face any type of Secret Paladin with Demon Handlock, even though it's not the very worst matchup. Like Face Shaman is definitely much worse. You are like below 30%. So, and Druid. Druid was like one of the highest expected decks. The 2 most expected decks for that tournament were Secret Paladin and Druid. So, and then the 3rd deck was probably Zoo. But against that field, Demon Handlock is especially weak. You cannot ban all of those decks. So the expectation of someone having Handlock is, as I said, it goes towards 0%, and I think nobody had handlock. Like from all the matches that I saw and heard, I have never heard that anyone brought handlock, so that was right. So the two best decks against Zoo were like handlock and freeze mage, and then when you ban freeze mage, Zoo is very strong. So we have the starting point, and then we go for the three decks that synergize very well with the ban and very well with the Zoo deck. So, and the logical conclusion are more aggressive decks. But I don't see Zoo as a aggressive deck. I think Zoo is a bot control deck. And it's like a mid-range deck, sort of. Because you always have to control the board. You win with board control, and then that your opponent cannot remove your board. That's how you win with Zoo. It's not with going face. And you very often you can see, like in a Zoo mirror especially, that you trade like a Neruba Weblot, a 4/4, into like a Flame Imp instead of going face. Even though it's an unfavorable trade, there you can see like how important it is to have the board control with Zoo. So, and you most likely do that in every matchup. There's some exceptions, but you get the point. So the next best deck was obviously Secret Paladin. It goes very well with the plan to ban Freeze Mage. It's like the #1 priority bans. There's like second priority ban, third priority ban, because some people don't bring Freeze Mage, but I go over that in a bit. So Secret Paladin, and so when we know we ban Freeze Mage, Secret Paladin, there's like a lot of things you can tag with every deck. For example, you don't need to tag cards like Owl or Divine Favor, because we know what we ban, right? There's like a lot of people had very weird lineups, and this is also expected. Like some people will not prepare as well as other people, and then you have like decks that don't synergize very well. And when I went over all the classes, it is very hard to find 4 decks that go well together against the same ban. And I had 4 classes that went like very well together with the same ban. So with Secret Paladin, we don't have to tag like Divine Favor, because we ban Freeze Mage, and we don't need to run cards like Ragnaros. We would also do that mainly because of Freeze Mage. We don't need Owl. We just build the deck for maximum consistency. And you will also see the deck list like during the games. I will show the deck list there and talk about it a little bit. So Secret Paladin, it also targets the same decks. So what does Zoo target? Zoo is really good against Secret Paladin. Zoo is also very good against Druid. And those are like the 2 main decks to counter for the tournament. And as you can see also from like other pro players, like they brought other lineups, but mainly the lineups were focused around those 2 decks, or the 3 decks. You can include Zoo to counter Secret Paladin, Druid, and Zoo. And for example, a lot of people brought Rogue from the pro players, and Rogue basically counters the targets. It doesn't really counter them, but it targets Druid, Rogue, and Zoo. So those were like the 3 main decks to target or to beat for this specific tournament. And Zoo was very good. I like so you have to tag your Zoo to be good in the mirror. And I practice. This is like another thing. Every deck is very difficult to play, and I focused a lot on practicing the matchups, because aggro mirror matchups are very difficult, like to get a high win percentage. So I played like 12 to 14 hours a day, like just Zoo mirrors, Secret Paladin versus Zoo, to know exactly how to mulligan, how to counter it, how to play, how to do everything. Also against Druid, those like the 3 main decks that you target. Like the other matchups that are easier, you don't have to practice them so much because you favorite anyways, and people will less likely bring them, so you focus on the matchups that you will most likely be facing, and yeah, you have to know your stuff for the tournament. So the second deck, obviously Secret Paladin, very strong. It's also a tier 1 deck and goes very well with the Freeze Mage ban. So the next best, and then the last 2 remaining classes were very difficult to find, and I decided to go Hunter. I have like very good success with Hunter in tournaments, and I'm also playing it a lot on ladder. Like I get Legend on all regions, and I think if you take it right, you can get like a positive win rate against Secret Paladin. And I also maybe you should show the list while I'm talking about the deck. So